Hi, I want to tell you a tale of woe that has to do with what I call dollar chasing, which is the sort of little rascals, our gang approach to get a grant. You see something, grants available for X amount of money, so people get together and say, hey, let's go get a grant. Story number one. My wife was hired as the executive director of an organization that gave grant services to an area, place where I used to live. Try not to be too specific. Don't want to seem as I'm being disrespectful to people. But this organization provided complete aid services, which included medical treatment, dental treatment, mental health counseling, case management, job services, a food pantry, and a couple other services. Very complete set of services for AIDS victims at a time when there were not a lot of people being nice and helping AIDS people, and when AIDS was still a death sentence to a lot of people. Very important work. But this grant, which my wife did not write, very important for you to know, promised to give this complete range of services to an area that is approximately a sixth of the square area of Texas. Think about Texas. Think about, break it up in 1/6. Think about how much that is. But only has 400,000 people in it. So you got that, a sixth of the square area of Texas, only 400,000 people in it. What is the biggest expense going to be in delivering those services? Think about it. Think. Probably didn't take you long to get it. Usually my freshmen get this question. It's transportation. Somebody lives in Snyder or Rotan or Palestine, and they have to go to Abilene or Odessa or Dallas to get medical treatment. Or they have to go into where the organization is to get some counseling. Transportation. You know how many dollars were written into this grant? That many dollars for transportation. And my wife took over this organization right after that grant came into effect. So, because that's a heck of a deal. Think about it. These are federal dollars, and they're obligated to provide aid services through grants to different agencies. And somebody says, hey, I can do all this service. I can cover this huge part of the country for only $250,000. Heck yes! We're going to give this organization the grant. Because remember, and I can't emphasize this over and over again, a grant is a contract. If your organization gets a grant, you are legally obligated to do what your grant says it's going to do. Well, there can be some variations, but essentially it's a contract. It's a gift with huge strings attached. So sometimes the worst thing that can happen is to get the grant. One other example. This has to do with planning. Recently, a school district in the area, somebody in the central office saw that the state of Texas was giving multi-million-dollar grants to school districts to implement programs. So somebody in the central office wrote a grant application and got, the number was $5 or $8 million. I'm not exactly sure what the dollar amount was off the top of my head. But it promised to pretty much all the elementary schools and targeted middle schools, it was going to provide an after-school program that included tutoring, it included nutritional food, it included playtime, and it would make sure kids do their homework, get fed, and then were supervised until 6 p.m. And the idea was that teachers would stay after school, work with the kids so the kids would get additional help afterwards, get some food, maybe go outside and play a little bit, and then when parents picked them up, all the homework would be done. They would have at least been fed, and students would do better in school because their homework was done, supervised, helped by teachers, nutrition, attention paid to, and also some exercise because of the playing outside. It sounds noble. It doesn't sound like a terrible idea. But all the conversation about this grant was in the central office. They didn't talk to any of the teachers involved. They didn't ask, are you willing to stay after school for $10 an hour and work with these kids 3 extra hours? And it turns out the teachers weren't willing to do that. Most of them had family, had work, or they had to go home and grade and get ready for school the next day. So the teachers weren't interested in running the after-school program. Who's going to serve the food? The cafeteria staff are hourly employees who are there to take care of breakfast and lunch, and then they leave. Who's going to heat the food? Who's going to warm the food? Who's going to clean it up? Who's going to supervise the recreation? Is there going to be equipment? Are people going to be there? And this is why I say you should talk to everybody involved, including the janitor. Because I'll tell you what happened.